This is LBC News.
LBC News with Martin Stanford, 9:51, 9 minutes top of the hour. A new definition of extremism has been set out by the Communities Secretary, who's warning that our democracy is threatened by a rise in far-right and Islamist groups.
It's not intended to prevent people demonstrating per se. Absolutely not. It's not a restraint on free speech. It applies only to engagement with government.
Let's talk to one of the groups who it is thought might, and I only say might, be affected by this. Muslim Engagement and Development, as known by the acronym MEND. Their Chief Executive Officer is Azhar Qayum, and he's joining us right now. Have you heard anything from government as to whether you are going to be cited as an extremist group, Azhar?
Hello there. No, we haven't actually. We've written to the government ourselves. We've sent legal notice to the government threatening legal action should they cite us on any such list. But they have not been in contact with us, no.
So, as I understand it, if you are put on the list, your only recourse is to start legal action. Is that what you said to government, that if you are named, you will immediately bring in the lawyers?
Yes, that's exactly what we said. And the way this has been set up is ridiculous. Essentially, you've got people within Michael Gove's department, or Mr. Gove himself possibly, who will pick names out of hats and decide who the people are that they put on this list. They will then punish them, and there is no, there is no inbuilt system of recourse within this at all. And the only thing that we can do at that point, or anyone can do at that point, would be take legal action under judicial review, etc. And we certainly intend to do so, as do the other organisations that have been unjustly treated in this way. If this does occur.
And do you think that they're going back in time, presumably, to see the track record of people involved in lobbying groups, in people who are forming political alliances and so on? We should note at this point, you said famously on Facebook, this is back in 2014, so 10 years ago now, Israel's generosity is like that of Hitler. You withdrew that remark, I think, and you said it was not meant as an insult to any people. But remarks like that would fall foul of this new definition of extremism, wouldn't they?
Well, it depends on the context and who said what, etc. And if we're going to be looking at remarks like that, I mean, it's the type of remark that I make generally. So, for example, on my Facebook, I also called the dictator of Chechnya, who's a Muslim, Putin's little Hitler at one point. It's the type of language I use for people who are genocidal, etc. And it was definitely not mentioned, not intended at any particular group of people. And it was in the midst of yet another huge attack on Gaza with thousands of deaths. I mean, not the tens of thousands we have now, but the thousands of deaths. Now, I think the problem is that we've got Mr. Gove in the Department of Levelling, who is going to decide which organisations that he puts on this list. Now, I could make a really good argument for putting Mr. Gove on this list for his associations with Henry Jackson Society and Policy Exchange, think tanks that have had far-right American links with organisations like Gatestone and others, with organisations that pummeled the Great Replacement theory. So I could easily make an argument for putting Mr. Gove on a list like this. Now, the problem is I'm not the one who's in charge of the list. Mr. Gove is.
Yes, and his advisors, which he's putting together, and they are apparently going to take time to devise this list, and we'll know in due course when that is going to be. Is it not incumbent on all of us in public life to temper our discourse? I mean, you wouldn't use a phrase evoking Hitler today, would you?
No, I wouldn't, generally. And at the time I said, look, this was, I think it was brought to me a few years ago. I said, look, I'd be much more careful with my language. Generally, I think all of us would be. But I think this issue of, giving this amount of power to one minister to decide who the extremists are, then not to give any recourse for them to appeal against it, leaving the recourse only to be, get together a huge amount of money to do a judicial review is hugely problematic. And to accuse someone of extremism is not temperate language at all. In fact, it's the worst type of behaviour, unless you've got something really strong to back it up. Now, and then not to give recourse to appeal, etc. I think it's seriously problematic. And the type of organisations they've banded about on, could not be on the list. Representative organisations like Muslim Council of Britain and Palestine Solidarity Campaign, etc. Why have the Henry Jackson Society, for example, not been put forward for this list? Why have some of the more extremist Zionist organisations, for example, not been thought about being put on this list?
Well, we don't know, to be fair, do we? This is the point. I know there's been an awful lot of rumours and expectations, but can we park our conversation for today and let's find out who and what is on the list, and let's keep the conversation going then? Would that be fair?
Thank you.
All right, Azhar Qayum, thank you very much indeed. He is the Chief Executive Officer of the organisation known by MEND, Muslim Engagement and Development.